What's up, people? Welcome back to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing well on this Wednesday evening. We've got an absolutely massive show for you guys today. But before we jump into that, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. And please do jump into the comment section. Let me know all of your thoughts on everything we discussed tonight. And let's jump straight on into the show. So on the show this evening, guys, we are going to be talking, of course, about Mason Greenwood because it's impossible not to talk about that, really, isn't it? We're also going to be talking about Eric Bailly. We've got an update on his potential departure, let's call it at this point. We've got an update on Amrabat. We're also going to be talking a bit about a potential surprise signing for Ryan Gravenberch from Bayern Munich, somebody I really, really like. And we're also going to be talking, or trying to answer the question, is Manchester United's transfer business over? Because some people are saying that at the moment, so we will, of course, be getting on into that. So let's start off the show. Let's start off the show with this Eric Bailly one. Let's just hear it from the very beginning. Now, this I cannot believe, right? There's a story coming out this afternoon saying that apparently Eric Bailly is demanding €700,000 as a loyalty bonus, they're calling it, in order to terminate his contract, which United are not willing to do, and the talks have fallen through. So for anybody unaware of what's going on with Eric Bailly, we don't have any offers on the table for people actually willing to buy him for any money. Obviously, Al Nassr were apparently interested and Besiktas were apparently interested. We'll talk about those two in a minute, but neither of them were willing to actually pay any money, apparently. It was going to be a free transfer. Obviously, a free transfer would mean Manchester United have to terminate his contract, and apparently he's saying, yes, I'll leave. I don't mind going as a free agent, but I want you to give me €700,000 in order for me to leave. And apparently the deal, the talks, whatever you want to call it, have broken down between Manchester United and Eric Bailly. And as a result of that, nobody knows what's happening with him. Nobody's willing to pay us any money. That's the black and white of it. He only leaves if it's for free. And he's not going to leave for free because obviously he's owed money on his wages. The same as Maguire. It's just an absolute circus, isn't it, with these people and their wages? You know, he's been paid, I think, £100,000 a week, something around that figure, for the last 3 or 4 years. He's been injured or been out on loan for most of that time. And instead of just saying, you know what, I've earned a good bit of money here at Manchester United. They're willing to let me go for free. I can probably get a big signing on bonus at another club. Instead, he's just trying to get every little last bit of money he possibly can. He's on £80,000 per week at Manchester United. He gets paid $4.1 million per year, and he still is asking for another $700,000 in order for him to leave this summer, and us get zero money from transfer fee. What an absolute, like, honestly, you couldn't make it up, could you? And in some ways, I know this is going to be controversial, and I know some of you will disagree and you'll get at me in the comments for this, but in some ways I'm glad that we didn't pay Harry Maguire off, because imagine if we did that every single time in the future where we wanted to sell a player, they would say, well, I want £5 million, otherwise I'm staying. Harry Maguire got that. So as much as it's frustrating, the Harry Maguire situation, less than 24 hours after that deal falls through, we've got another player who is reportedly asking for money in order to leave for free. Like, try and get your head around that. It's absolutely crazy, isn't it? And then reporting on what he actually has options-wise. So obviously Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia look like the most likely destination for him. So Sky Sports have reported in the last 30 or so minutes that Manchester United defender Eric Bailly is now unlikely to join Al Nassr after the Saudi club decided to turn their attention to Manchester City's Aymeric Laporte. So if anybody missed that, it looks like Laporte is going to Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia. I believe a bid has already been accepted by Manchester City. So that one's off the cards. That was his most likely option. We were hearing that Ronaldo had spoken to Bailly. Ronaldo was trying to convince him and all the rest of it. And then it goes on to say that now Bailly is exploring other options. He did have an offer on the table from Besiktas, but Eric Bailly has decided not to pursue that deal. Like, what? So he's had an offer from Besiktas. We spoke about this a couple of days ago, didn't we? That it looked like he was good as gone to Besiktas. But Sky Sports are reporting now that apparently Eric Bailly decided he didn't want to go to Besiktas and decided he didn't want to pursue that deal. Like, what is going on at Manchester United? Like, maybe there's something going on at Carrington that we don't know about. Maybe they've got a big ball pit and, you know, they have, they do fancy dress and they I don't know, maybe something's going on there that we're missing out. Maybe they just get to play Xbox all day. I have no idea what's going on there, but they're all just happy to sit there and not have to do anything and be paid, aren't they? So yeah, not a very positive one on the Eric Bailly one. That is why it says Eric Bailly blow in the title of the video, because it is a blow, isn't it? It's a blow that a player who is completely surplus to requirements, he didn't even go on the preseason tour, he's got no place in Erik ten Hag's squad, and he's still trying to hold us ransom when we're willing to let him go for free. He'll go and get a massive signing on bonus at another club. he's had options on the table and he said, I don't want to go. I don't want to go to Besiktas. I don't want to do... Oh, I mean, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? It really, really is. But let me know how you feel about this one in the comment section. You know, at least with the Harry Maguire one, we actually had some money there being offered. At least we had £30 million on the table. Yes, we had to give him 10 or so million for him to leave, but at least we would have actually got some profit from it. Absolutely ridiculous. Let me know how you feel about that one in the comment section. Yeah, people... It is a joke, isn't it? It really is a joke. So I don't know what's going to happen with him. Maybe he'll just end up playing in the under-21s. He's not part of the Premier League squad. His name's not included in it. So he's not going to be on the bench even. He'll probably play with the reserves, I guess. He'll see out his contract. He's got 1 year left on his deal. And then in 1 year, he'll leave as free agent. You know, he'll get all his money. He'll collect his 80 grand a week for the next 12 months. And then this time next year, he'll be a free agent and he'll leave. That seems what it's going to be at this moment, because we've been speaking about this transfer for the whole window. We've been speaking about Al Nassr, we've been speaking about Besiktas, and neither of them are happening now. So I don't see any likely option for him to go to. But let's move on to something else, though, because the more I talk about things like that, the more I just get frustrated, you know, that these players are just literally taking us for a ride. They really are, but it is what it is, isn't it? Obviously, there's nothing me or you can do. We're not going to protest that these, you know, anyway. Right, let's move on to the next topic, though. Let's talk about Amrabat really, really quickly. So there's a story coming out from Fabrizio Romano this afternoon. Now, this is a little bit confusing for me, okay? So Fabrizio has said that apparently Manchester United have to sell, emphasise the word sell, they have to sell 2 midfielders before they can sign Sofyan Amrabat. So we've sold Fred. That's one of the 2. He's saying we have to sell another. Who's this other midfielder that we're going to sell? Donny van de Beek is going to be a loan, at best. That might not even happen. Scott McTominay, hopefully he goes to West Ham, but at the moment, I would say it's probably less than 50-50 with McTominay going to West Ham. So who's going to be this other midfielder? We thought that it was Fred we had to sell in order to go for Amrabat. Now we're being told that we have to sell 2 midfielders. We're not going to get any money for Donny van de Beek. It's meant to be a loan, so I don't really see where this one's going. Little bit confusing. Obviously, Fabrizio Romano is somebody that I really love, so I fully trust him. I'm not saying what he's saying is wrong. I'm just saying I don't see where this second midfield sale is going to come from. You know, who are we going to sell? Answer me in the comment section. Like, there isn't anybody, is there? So very, very frustrating about that one. And it does make you question, how long is Amrabat going to wait for us? You know, is he going to wait for us to sell this other midfielder, which probably won't happen? Obviously, there is the potential. Let's just try and spin this to a positive. Obviously, there is the potential that Scott McTominay goes to West Ham. Obviously, Lucas Paquetá looks set to join Manchester City. Apparently, they're about to submit a new bid of around £100 million for Lucas Paquetá to West Ham, and that'll be enough to get that deal over the line. So if Scott McTominay goes, all of our worries go away. Amrabat comes in and we probably go and sign another midfielder as well. Maybe we go and get Amadou Onana. Maybe we get Gravenberch, who we will talk about in a minute. But as it stands, Fabrizio Romano is saying we need to sell 2 midfielders in order to make this bid for Amrabat. The thing which frustrates me about this is, right, it's not like we're going to buy Jude Bellingham. It's not like we're going to buy Moises Caicedo for 110 million. We're going to buy Amrabat for £25 million. Surely they can pull some money out of somewhere to get this deal over the line. You know, we've just sold Matic Kovar for €9 million. We've just sold Fred for €15 million, including add-ons. You know, we have sold some players in the last couple of weeks. Like, surely there is enough money there to go and put in a bid of 20, 30 million euros for Amrabat and get this deal done. It's really confusing. And when you see Chelsea going and buying, you know, Romeo Lavia and Moises Caicedo in the space of 48 hours for, you know, nearly £200 million, and we're here scraping around the back of the sofa trying to find some pennies to buy Sofyan Amrabat, it does kind of show you the levels that we're at the moment, doesn't it? And it does make you kind of frustrated. So the problem is, obviously, it all just boils back to the Glazers. It does. If the Glazers actually put their own money into the club, we wouldn't be in this situation. Just always remind yourselves of that. It's so easy to blame Maguire. It's easy to say Scott McTominay should leave and all the rest of it. But we shouldn't be having to force players out of our squad as a fan base just so we can go and sign somebody else. That shouldn't happen. We should be able to rely on our owners to invest money into our team to better us. Yes, we've spent 150, 160 million this season, but when you actually break down all of the people who've left, De Gea, 375 grand a week, Cristiano Ronaldo, 500 grand plus a week, Weghorst, you know, the list goes on, Alex Telles, Phil Jones, Tuan Zabi, like the amount of people that have left the club And the amount of wages that we've cleared so far in the last 2 or 3 months is absolutely ridiculous. We've cleared so much wages and we've only brought in 3 players. So nobody can sit there at home and say that we don't have the money. We definitely do have the money. Financial fair play does exist, but there are ways around it. Chelsea have just spent 1 billion in the space of a year, right? And we're having to scrape around the back of the sofa to get 25 million euros together to buy Sofian Amrabat. Something isn't adding up there. So when they're telling you that financial fair play this, financial fair play that, just remind yourselves of that. Yeah, I think it's a load of rubbish. I do. I really, really do. Obviously, it is a real life thing. I'm not saying it isn't. But yeah, anyway, let's move on to the next story, though. On the flip side of that, if you want to go to some positivity, there is a story coming out from an Italian newspaper. We had the same story yesterday, though. Story coming out from an Italian newspaper 30 minutes ago saying that Manchester United are now set to step up their efforts to sign Sofian Amrabat, and the bid for the player could arrive in the next few hours. So in Italy, they're still coming on with this narrative that a bid is about to be submitted. But then when you have got Fabrizio Romano saying we need to sell 2 players in order to buy him, who do you believe? Fabrizio Romano or an Italian newspaper? I will always believe Fabrizio over, some tabloid Italian newspaper. But let me know how you feel about that one. Do you think we're going to get any more signings? Do you think this is kind of where we're at now? Do you think that this is it? Anybody asking about outgoings? We did a whole video on this the other day where we listed all of the people who left the club, and we did all of the people who all the wages have gone. It's a really, really interesting video. Go and check it out on the channel. I think it's in the videos section. So if anybody's interested in that, go and check it out after the show. Let me see what it's called. Yeah, so it's called 35 million wages removed. Go and check it out after. It's on the videos section of our website, of our YouTube page, and it's got all of a breakdown of all the people who've left. And so far this window, I think we've saved about 30 to 40 million pounds in wages roughly. So yeah, we're doing well on the wage front. So go and check that one out. Hopefully that Donny van de Beek, something happens, but we've been talking about Donny van de Beek for weeks and weeks, and nothing seems to happen. Nothing seems to move on that front. And with Fabrizio saying it needs to be a sale of 2 players, we know that Donny van de Beek is a loan move. So I don't really understand. Yeah, anyway, we spoke about that one. So let's move on to the next story, though. Let's keep things moving. For me, it has to be Scott McTominay. Scott McTominay needs to go. As much as I don't think he's the worst player in our team, I think he's the one who's worth the most value. You can get 40, maybe 45 million for him tops, including add-ons. Obviously, we had a bid of 30 million rejected, didn't we, from West Ham. So I think you could get 40 million for McTominay. That gives you the money to go and buy Amrabat, and it leaves you with a bit of money left over to maybe try and get a striker. Maybe you get someone on like a striker on a loan, something like that. But yeah, let me know what you think about that one. Who do you think is the most likely option of people to leave in the midfield area? Hopefully it's oh god, my neck is absolutely killing today. Yeah, hopefully it's Scott McTominay, but obviously we've got to wait and see what happens with that one. Right, let's move on to the next topic, though. Let's talk about Mason Greenwood then. Now, I know this is a topic that a lot of you really, really want to talk about. But before we do that, please do smash a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. We've got over 800 people watching, which is absolutely mega. So big ups to everybody in this community. Right, let's crack on. So Mason Greenwood, right. So anybody who has missed the update earlier on today, Manchester United Chief Executive Richard Arnold has apparently told senior staff that Mason Greenwood will be returning, and he also intends to record a video explanation on the decision. This is coming out from The Athletic literally about an hour ago. It then goes on to say that Chief Executive Richard Arnold plans to do a video explanation that would be shared both with the staff and the general public. So obviously, as we know, the decision has been purely based on Richard Arnold. He's been the one who's made this decision. It's not been up to the women's team. It's not been up to the sponsors. It's Richard Arnold who has had to make this decision. The story also goes on to say that Manchester United's sporting department, including John Murtough and Eric Ten Hag, are both in favour of Mason Greenwood's return to the squad. So it seems to be across the board, they're all in agreement, so they want Mason Greenwood to be back in the playing squad. Now, the thing that I found the most interesting of this story, because so many people have said, well, so what? He might go out on loan. He might go to the under-21s. What's going to happen with him? The first line of this article says the following. Now, listen to this. It says, as part of the plan for Mason Greenwood's reintegration with the men's first team, that's the bit that I found really interesting. So it looks like he will be as part of the first team. It doesn't say he's going to go in the under-21s. It doesn't say he's going to go out on loan. It says first team, which obviously, you know, you don't have to be a scientist or a professor to know what that means, do you? So there is another little bit of a news coming out on The Athletic about this, saying that Manchester United did look at potential loan destinations for Mason Greenwood over the summer, and his name came up in discussions with Atalanta. So there was some truth in that. We did speak about this a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? Where Manchester United were reportedly trying to offload Mason Greenwood on a loan move. That obviously hasn't materialised. We know that Mason Greenwood's obviously just become a father. He wants to stay in England. He doesn't want to go off to Italy. He doesn't want to go off to Germany. So all of these things will be part of Richard Arnold's decision when he's made this call. You know, where does he go? Does he go off on loan? Well, no, because he wants to stay in England. He needs to stay with his family in Manchester, etc. So we're kind of getting a bit of a picture now. It's painting a bit of a scenario as to whether why the decision has been made, and you know, all the rest of it. The Athletic have also just said 30 minutes ago that senior Manchester executives have now been told the club have decided to bring back Mason Greenwood. This was 38 minutes ago via the Athletic's website. A different story to the one that came out earlier, ultimately saying that the club's executives, so that would be the top people at board level, have been told by, you know, John Murtagh, Richard Arnold, whoever it might be, that the club have now decided to bring back Mason Greenwood. Obviously, this hasn't been officially put out by Manchester United yet, but the Athletic have leaked it, which I think is actually even worse. Like, I really do. The fact that the Athletic have leaked this story, it's absolutely mental, isn't it? And then TalkSport have just put out a story as well. I know it's TalkSport, but just to give you a bit more fuel to the fire, saying that Manchester United staff have been told to prepare for the return of Mason Greenwood. So all of the other outlets are now starting to bring this story as well. Obviously, the Athletic in the UK were the ones who led with the story. They're, in my opinion, other than maybe the BBC, they're like one of the most reliable places for football news. So when they put something out, 9 times out of 10, I would say that it's very, very reliable. Let me know in the comment section what you think about the Athletic. Is it a platform you like? Obviously, you do have to pay for it. That is the only thing that I don't like. You do have to pay to be a member of the Athletic. So I do pay for it because we have this community. So I pay for it so I can read the stories and I can share that information with you. So I'm going to read a bit from the website now for you really, really quickly. So it says that Mason Greenwood will not make any appearances with the club's charitable arm, the Manchester United Foundation, which obviously doesn't mean too much to anybody here, in the short to medium term, even though the club would be bringing him back to the first team setup. So we've had those words used again there. They mentioned it earlier on in the article, but they've mentioned it a couple of paragraphs down, saying that he would be coming back to the first team. So this isn't going to the reserves. They're not shipping him off to Italy. They're not shipping him off to the Championship or whatever. It would be bringing him back to the first team. What else have we got? It says that apparently Manchester United did their own investigation where they spoke to the sponsors, they spoke to witnesses and all the rest of it. That investigation has now finished. And it says that sources close to the process spoke to The Athletic on the condition of being kept anonymous because they are not authorised to speak publicly. The Athletic has not been told the precise reason United have delayed the announcement of Greenwood. It has been reported widely that the club wished to inform key stakeholders of their decision ahead of going public. So they made their decision. They then wanted to go and tell, Adidas, TeamViewer, whoever it is, this is the decision we've been made. Here you go. This is what's happening. And that was where the issue arose last week, where the women's team got thrown into the mix. And they were getting hate towards them. People were saying, they shouldn't have a say in it and all the rest of it. And that just caused more toxicity. So I really didn't like the way that they did that. Right. But let's move on to the next bit, though. So since this story's come out, quite a few of the Manchester United sponsors have come out with statements. Now, first of all, there's Ecolab, which I think is on the side, on the sleeve of the shirt, saying any question relating to the players and the operations of the club, we would refer to Manchester United. We are aware of the topic and are in contact with the club. We have no comment to provide at this time. Adidas have said, after inaccurate and speculative reporting within the media, it's important for us to reiterate that Adidas plays no role in any decisions made regarding any member of the team or staff at the club. The decisions are exclusively between the club and their employees. So both of these two sponsors have tried to distance themselves from this, because I assume they've probably had abuse on Twitter from people saying, it's a disgrace that you sponsor a team that has had this incident going on and all the rest of it. So they've had to come out publicly and put these statements out there just to, I guess, just to try and give themselves a bit of peace, because it's probably absolutely kicking off on their social medias at the moment, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, it's an absolutely mental situation, and the fact that we're still just going through all of this speculation, you know, the fact that this has been going on for so long, it really does throw me a little bit. I just don't understand how a club can be so incompetent and take so long to. Oh gosh, my neck today. I don't know what's wrong with my neck. I don't know if I slept in a funny position or something, but something's definitely not right with it. Anyway, enough talking about my neck. Right, and then there's a story coming up from Sky Sports. Let's move on to something else. Sky Sports are reporting this afternoon that further major incomings for Manchester United in this window are looking increasingly difficult. The club would be ready to do a deal for Benjamin Pavard and Sofian Amrabat, but both rely on outgoing. So as we spoke about earlier on the show, with Fabrizio saying that we needed to sell 2 midfielders by Amrabat, Sky Sports in the last 30 minutes literally have backed up that same story, saying that the bulk of Manchester United's incoming transfer business is now done, with any future signings relying on income from outgoings. And it goes on to say that new signings are now looking increasingly difficult. Now, this was the question that I wanted to bring to this community. Do you think that we will get any more signings this summer, or do you think that is it? Do you think that Rasmus Højlund, Onana and Mason Mount will be our only signings? Because if it is, that is a disgrace. It really is. Amrabat is the absolute bare minimum of what we need. We need Amrabat. We need another midfielder probably as well as him. We need another striker. Yeah, I mean, there's another bit of breaking news coming out from The Athletic as well. Sorry, just to jump back to the Mason Greenwood thing. So The Athletic have apparently been told that multiple employees within Manchester United are deeply troubled and feel a sense of shame by the plan laid out for Mason Greenwood. And they say the club has not fostered an environment where major decisions by senior personnel can be freely challenged. So there's already outrage around this story. I know within the fan base, there'll be a divide. There'll be people in the comments saying, bring him back. I want Mason back. There'll be other people saying, I don't support Manchester United anymore. There'll be all sorts of stuff going on. And the fact that The Athletic have just reported that apparently the people who actually work for Manchester United, the employees, the people who are there every single day in the training base, are feeling deeply troubled and feel a sense of shame by the environment that's been made at Manchester United and by senior personnel. So that'll be, you know, the chief executives, the top people on the board, feeling that they can't freely challenge decisions. I mean, I get that, but at the end of the day, like, a CEO is there to make the tough decisions. Like, you're not going to let the kit man, for example, make the decisions on Mason Greenwood. It has to be up to the CEO, doesn't it? Yeah, it is just a bit of a mess, though, isn't it? Whatever way you want this situation to go, it definitely is a mess. Right, let's move on to the next topic, though. Let's talk about Ryan Gravenberch. Now, he is somebody who I absolutely love. Obviously, he played with Erik ten Hag at Ajax before. He's an absolutely quality player. Now, there's a story coming out from 2 different reporters this afternoon saying that apparently Liverpool and Manchester United have activated their interest in Ryan Gravenberch this week. But Ryan Gravenberch prefers to join Manchester United over Liverpool. It goes on to say that this week, Liverpool and Manchester United have reactivated their interest. At the moment, no offer has been made, but the player prefers to join the Red Devils in case of a departure. So really key bit of information there. It looks like Gravenberch could be lined up as a replacement for Scott McTominay. Again, we will rely on outgoings in order to make this type of deal. But do let me know in the comment section, is Ryan Gravenberch somebody you would like to see at Manchester United? There is a bit of a story floating around this afternoon that it could be a potential loan with an obligation to buy. Obviously, if we did that, it wouldn't matter with our financial fair play issues, right? If we did a 1-year loan until this time next year, and then there was an obligation to buy at the end of it for 30, 40 million, we could sign him now, have him on loan for the season, and then we buy him next year, and that will be out of next year's budget. So if we could do that deal, if we could get a loan to buy option, I would 100% go and get him now, because a midfield free of Gravenberch, Casemiro, and Bruno Fernandes, I think that's really solid. And we don't see what happens against us on Wolves on Monday night happen again, I don't think. I still think we need Gravenberch and Amrabat, personally. I think you get Amrabat to replace Fred and Donny, and then you go and get Gravenberch as another option, because our midfield looks really weak at the moment. Obviously, Bruno and Mount are attacking players. We only have Casemiro. Obviously, Kobe Mainoo's coming back, but we're putting a lot of weight on a very young man's shoulders to come into our team and, hit the ground running. And then there's also a story coming out this afternoon as well saying that Manchester United are set to have a meeting with the directors of Bayern Munich. It says that a meeting has been planned. Now, we're not sure whether this is about Gravenberch or about, what's he called? Pavard. We don't know which player this is relating to, but my guess is it's probably both of them. Obviously, we know that Erik ten Hag wants to sign both of these players. We know that he wants to reunite with both of them, having had them both under his reign before. Right, I'm going to read out some of your comments now as well because I haven't read any out. Right, what have we got? I'm going to read out some of your questions. Ben says, as long as Harry Maguire's in the squad, I will not be watching Manchester United. Yeah, fair enough. Joe says, if we ended up with Onana, Mount and Højlund added to our squad for the season, are we good enough to challenge for the league, Champions League, or are we just to stay in the Premier League? I mean, from the business we've done this season so far, I think we'll be lucky to get top 4. Now, you know how positive I am on this channel. People laugh at me for saying you're deluded. People say stop being so positive, but that's just who I am as a person. I've said that to you many, many times before. And in relation to your comment, Joe, I think based on what we've done so far, I think we'll be lucky to get top 4. I do. I think we'll struggle based on what we saw on Monday night. I think we need 2 or 3 more signings. We really do. When you see Chelsea spending 150 million plus on a midfield, like there's competition out there. Manchester City, anyway, we don't need to go into that. All right, what have we got? Yeah, right. Anyway, let's move on with the rest of the show. If you do have any questions you want to get in, do get them in the chat and I'll come back to them in a minute. Just put the letter Q in front of your message and I will read out as many as I can before the show ends. Right, where are we? In relation to other outgoings, it's gone extremely quiet. It really, really has. The Donny van de Beek move has all but gone to silence. We're hearing nothing about it. It's been weeks and weeks since we got a last update on Donny van de Beek. So at this point, I have no idea. We've got about 2 weeks left of the transfer window. The Donny van de Beek to Real Sociedad thing looks like it's gone very quiet. Obviously, Dean Henderson looks like he's going to stay at Manchester United now because of the injuries at the squad. Oh, God. And other than that, there isn't really anybody else to leave. We know Harry Maguire is going to stay now. He's not going to go. He's refusing to leave. He wants all his money. Eric Bailly, we spoke about earlier on in the show. The outgoings have really, really dried up. And you know what? I had such high hopes for this transfer window. I thought it could easily be an 8, 9, 10 out of 10 window. Easy. If we'd have got rid of the players that we needed to and then reinvested the money, I think we could have had a really, really strong window. But as it stands at the moment, the window has been poor. It has. Onana is a good signing. Mason Mount, I'm not sure about. Rasmus Højlund could be a great signing, but he's injured and there's no guarantee that he's going to be what everyone's kind of hoping him to be. I hope he is. I hope he does amazing. But at the moment, I would say again with Rasmus Højlund, it's 50-50. Hopefully he comes and smashes the league, but he might not. Daniel says, what is your dream signing? Dream signing, I would probably say Frankie de Jong in midfield. Up front, I would probably say Victor Osimhen. I'd probably say Antonio Silva, centre-back. Maybe those 3 players. Antonio Silva, centre-back, yeah. Osimhen up front and Frankie de Jong in midfield. I think those would be my 3 dream signings. But let me know what your dream signings are in the comments section. Stefan says, if we don't bring anyone else in, do you think the protests will intensify? The protests are definitely going to intensify regardless of whether we sign people, There's a 60-minute planned sit-in protest after the Nottingham Forest game. So anybody who doesn't know what that means, after the Nottingham Forest game, all of the fans are going to stay in the stadium for 60 minutes in protest against the Glazers. And yeah, I think if the running of the club carries on the way it is, the Mason Greenwood situation, the Maguire situation, all of these situations that have unfolded in the last week or so, the protests are only going to get worse. The divide between the fan base is only going to get worse. And it's just going to create more and more tension. And in the bottom of my heart, I pray that the Glazers announce the day that transfer window ends, that they're leaving the club and that we've got new owners. That is exactly what we need. And that's exactly what I'm hoping for. Big T says, do you think we can forget signing a new striker now? It looks like Greenwood is returning. And do you think they will put Mason on the back of Greenwood's shirt to try disassociate the name? I mean, that's a really interesting point. I said this weeks ago. I said that I wouldn't be surprised at all if Mason Greenwood is kind of seen as the new striker, you know? Everybody in the comment section would agree we need a new striker. And the Glazers are sat there thinking, we have this player who's probably worth, what, 50 to 100 million pounds in this market, maybe more. We've just spent 60 million pounds on a player who scored 9 goals in his career, in his Italian league career. Mason Greenwood is definitely worth more than Rasmus Højlund. So they're probably all sat there rubbing their hands saying, let's not bother with a new signing. Let's bring in Mason Greenwood. He'll play as a new striker. Yeah, so I do agree with you. And I wouldn't be surprised at all. If you're right, my friend, if they're going to change on the back of his name to Mason instead of Greenwood. I wouldn't be surprised, no. Somebody says, are we only going to get more signings if we lose 4-0 to Tottenham like last year? I mean, that is how the Glazers work. If we go and get absolutely battered by Tottenham on the weekend, we will start seeing stories linking us to Amrabat, Gravenberch. We'll be buying all of those players next week. Mark my words. That will happen. If we get absolutely battered by Tottenham, the Glazers will react and they will start bringing in people. Red Devils United says, are you still confident we will get Sofyan Amrabat? If we don't get Sofyan Amrabat, it's an absolute disgrace. He's rejected Liverpool, Saudi Arabia. He's rejected West Ham. He's rejected so many different clubs for us, right? He's waited. He's available for 30 million euros. It's not even very much money. It literally is not much money, is it? We just spent, what, 80 million euros on Rasmus Højlund, and now we don't have the money to get Amrabat for 30. I honestly think it will be the biggest disaster of the transfer window if we don't get this deal done, because he is so essential to what we want to do. We saw that on Monday against Wolves. Our midfield literally got sliced through like butter. It was so easy to play against. So in relation to do I think the deal will still happen, I would be surprised if we get any news before Saturday. Okay? I think it will probably be sometime next week. I think Donny will end up going out on loan. And then I think in maybe the last week or so of the window, we will submit a bid for Sofyan Amrabat and we will get him over the line, which obviously will be good and will be positive. But we'll already be 3 or 4 games into the season by then. And if we go to Tottenham on Saturday and we lose, then we're going to say, why did we not go and get Amrabat sooner? If our midfield crumbles again at White Hart Lane or whatever it's called now, the London Stadium, what's it called? Is it called White Hart Lane now? I don't know. Whatever the Tottenham Stadium's called. If our midfield gets sliced through again, everyone's going to be sat there saying, why did they not go and sign Amrabat this week? You know, and we just don't want to open the door to that, do we? Yeah, as Joe says, Amrabat rejected Juventus as well. Joe says, Kieran, which team in the Premier League do you think has the most world-class players in their starting 11? Well, probably Manchester City, doesn't it? Somebody says, we need 1 or 2 midfielders in the team, which is necessary, as well as a defender and a striker. Yeah, I mean, we need 3 or 4 more signings. We do. And I know rival fans will be sat there saying, you've spent 160 million. And, you know, it's just boring, that narrative. It really is. You know, we haven't spent any money. We've spent our money. The Glazers have spent 0. Todd Bowley's just spent $1 billion out of his own money on players. The Glazers have never spent a penny of their own money on players. So I won't have rival fans saying, you just spent 160 million. Well, yes, we've spent 160 million that this club has generated off these fans who are watching this channel and support that, you know, go to the matches, they buy the merch, all the rest of it. That's how we've spent our money. It's not like we're a Manchester City where we're pulling out the money out of thin air. We're spending the money that we earn every single year. That's the only money we spend. And sometimes we even borrow money from credit cards because the Glazers won't put any in. So yeah, it is frustrating, isn't it? Somebody in the chat says, if we don't get Sofyan Amrabat, don't worry, we've got Kieran Amrabat. Well, there you go, guys. If we don't get Sofyan Amrabat, at least you can still look at me and you can call me Sofyan Amrabat, all right? I'm happy with that. I have no issue with it. If it makes you guys happy, then that's fine. James says, do you think we will see an improved performance against Spurs on Saturday? I mean, if we don't see a better performance than that, then I am literally worried. I am. Like, that performance was so bad. I think on Saturday, we will see a reaction, and I think we're going to win. I think Jadon Sancho will play. I think Martial is going to start, and I think Rashford will be on the left. And I think we're going to go there, and I think we're going to beat Tottenham. I'm positive. I think we're going to do it. And if it doesn't happen, yeah. Tottenham don't even have a proper striker. They've got Rich Arlison up front. Like, Rich Arlison, come on. He's not very good, is he, really? I mean, he'd probably get into our team, so I can't really slag him off, can I? Irvin says, this is our worst transfer window ever. Wow. How does everybody feel about that? Let me know in the comments section. I mean, it's a pretty damning thought, isn't it? Our worst transfer window ever. But do I disagree? I don't know. I wouldn't say it's our worst ever, but it hasn't been great, has it? The fact, like, I don't want to keep mentioning Rasmus Højlund because I am excited about him. I hope he does well. But the fact that we're putting all of this pressure and all of our expectations for goals on a player so young who's barely even started his professional career. It's not like we've just signed Erling Haaland, who, you know, had done incredible things at Dortmund and all the rest of it before he came. Robert says, at least Spurs have a recognised striker. Yeah. We need Anthony Martial in that game tomorrow, on Saturday. We really, really do. If he doesn't play on Saturday, then I don't know what the hell is going on with him. I really don't. Like, he has to play against Spurs on Saturday. And he has to put in a good performance. He can't come off injured after 20 minutes. Yeah. Right, I'm gonna wrap the video up here, guys. My neck is absolutely killing. I don't know what I've done to it, but my neck is in absolute terrible condition. So I'm gonna wrap the video up here. I'm gonna go and try and fix my neck, but we will be back tomorrow, of course, at 8 a.m. UK time for your morning show. Before you leave, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel. This has been Daily Red Devil. I've been Kieran, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.